Good morning! This week we are combating the climate crisis with our love of fashion. The future is bright, the future is oxymorons. I am wearing a wizarding cloak, that is what I wear in the mornings before I get ready. No comment needed. Whoa! I am taking no questions. My name is Lena. If you haven't been here before and you think you might want to be here again, it's worth subscribing. Take a chance in this one small life we have. And I do lots of things on this channel, but one of the things I do is talk about the climate crisis in hopefully what is a fun way. And one of the things I feel quite passionately about is that not only we need to start shopping in different ways, but we also need to start thinking about fashion in different ways. And I have this series on my channel where I try and create different mindsets for how we put fabric on our bodies. Before and today, I have been experimenting with getting inspired in different ways. It's really good to be inspired by things that you love that aren't currently trending, in vogue, in runway, if you will, because there's way less demand for those kind of items and there's so many secondhand items in the world. If we all start buying even the same secondhand items at a time, there's lots of things that get left behind, lots of things that still get thrown in landfill. So my reasoning is going back to those things that we really love and seeing if we can get some weird inspiration from them. When we feel like renewing our wardrobe or trying something new or going outside of the box, not running into H&M and grabbing like the first 10 things that we see, but having a little trawl through. It's actually, I really like engaging that scrolling part of my brain and putting it on Depop or another like thrifting app to see what weird shit I can find in the depths of it. So today I'm being inspired, as you all voted on the community tab, by the Devil Wears Prada. Fitting when we're trying to redesign our brains around clothes and inspiration. No. So I've picked 5 outfits to get inspired by, pulled things from my own wardrobe, and also trawled through Depop to find some perfect complementary pieces to hold my week's wardrobe together. And every single day this week, I'm going to be dressing in a different outfit inspired by the film. Following so far? Good. Good. Today is day 1 and we have to start at the very beginning. A very good place to start with Andy's pick me girl phase. This is of course the horrifying skirt she turns up to work in her first week at Runway, and the famous cerulean jumper that gets her the world's best dressing down from Meryl Streep. Dress me down, Meryl. Do it. This is the thirst trap to make you tell me off. I couldn't quite find a cerulean. Cerulean isn't a word that people tag on Depop very often, and the world is worse for it. But this is the closest I could find, and it also complements this skirt that I've had for a long time that I love, and I'm hoping that I can make something dowdy yet inspired. I definitely wouldn't have thought of pairing this with a woolly jumper. I'm always looking for like 50s tops or like just black plain tops with this. So getting something that's a bit more daring that's going to complement it and like meet a statement with a statement is exciting me. Let's try it on and see if it works. So here's the outfit. I forced myself to tone down the makeup a little bit. I really like bright colours and bright lips, but I muted myself with a little bit of Glossier, Leo, embracing the basic. I haven't brushed my hair because that seems like a style choice for Andy. And I'm wearing this big Vivienne of Holloway skirt. This is actually a Depop find I found about a year ago. It's a complete circle skirt, which are my favourite. Like, I like having lots and lots of fabric. The jumper is also Depop, and I'm not gonna lie, pretty sweaty in August, but we suffer for our art. And I also didn't want to wear too much jewellery, so I've just got on this zero waist pendant, which I'll link below. And I'm thinking maybe brown Doc Martens with this because it's giving me major Mia Thermopolis vibes. I feel like Andy is an older Mia Thermopolis in my head, so DMs seem appropriate. Overall, I think I'm really happy with this outfit. It's definitely not something I would have thought of. And I know there's dark academia, light academia, but what if there was just like chaotic academia? That's what this feels like. Or psychedelic academia. It feels like it's going in a familiar yet slightly tangential direction, and I'm 100% here for it. Okay, so today I'm going to be channeling this outfit. It's from the iconic montage where there's various exuberant coat and hat combos Some of them better than others, but this one caught my eye because I'm a magpie for bright, so this is probably one of the brightest outfits that she wears in the film, and also because of the more unusual combination of a green with a leopard print. Now, I have a whole video on my channel about how much I love leopard print, that's up there. So I do have a lot of leopard print in my wardrobe already, but when I was cleaning out my parents' house, I found this scrunched up at the back of my old bed. It is a strappy bodycon going out dress that I used to strut around Coventry in when I was 17 years old, and I feel like it could do with a new lease of life. And on Depop, I found this outlandish lime green cardigan, originally from the Ragged Priest, and it's new. And it also came with an unexpected tube top, which keeps eyeing me and I don't know what it wants from me. So we're gonna see, inspired by this outfit, what we can make. Hopefully I look like a noughties fashionista running off to Starbucks to get my capitalist oligarch some tasty caffeine to fuel her through her meaningless existence. Okay, so here's what we've got. The cardigan is a bit big on me, but does that give vibes of a coat? Wishful thinking, but yes. The dress was frankly scandalous on its own, so I've put it with some green jeans and I've topped that for some extra leopard exuberance with a leopard print belt. The tube top, for which I'm becoming more and more convinced is a tube top because I've realised it does have elastic at the top and not at the bottom, didn't fit the tatas, but matching snood it could be. The makeup, I went all out on the lime green again. It's a shade called Sherbet. And then to add some runway glamour, I put some gold in my inner corners. I also went dark on the lips, which was a bit of a debate in my head, but I thought this needs to cement itself in fashion. Whew, that's too hot. And steer away from my usual aesthetic that makes me feel safe, which is accidental CBBC presenter who has been locked in a charity shop for 30 years. So I thought a dark lip might make it a little bit more, I don't know, chic. Chic, it could be chic. I really like this outfit. Obviously it is my take on that, but it's definitely not something I would have thought up on my own. And I also have like more instincts to like add more, but I think that paring it back, yes, this is me paring it back, is a good thing for me, and I really like the combination. Okay, day 3, what could it be? It has to be the ball scene. Now there's a really cool video essay about how Anne Hathaway's neckline echoes Meryl Streep's neckline in this scene and what it symbolises and stuff, and I think that off the shoulder stuff for me has always been a bit like, ooh. But they both just look bloody iconic in the scene, and I couldn't resist at least trying to emulate the glory. So Collectif is a brand that does 50s clothes, and they're very widely available on Depop. I always find Collectif stuff on Depop. I managed to track down this 50s dress that looks like it's going to be slightly off the shoulder. It did on the model anyway. It isn't floor length like theirs, but it definitely has that key silhouette, and I'm just gonna force myself to do something a little bit fancy today, especially the fact that Rona is still rampant and I work from home means that I really very rarely dress up anymore. So I think this is just an excuse to go a little bit all out, a little bit extra. Definitely some red lippy, and all that I can really hope for is that it actually fits, because it is a size too small for me technically, but it's made out of that, maybe this is a very specific experience, but that really stretchy synthetic school trouser material. Did anybody have that kind of clingy school trouser material? We'll see. You'll see when it's on. You'll see when it's on. Okay, let's go. If you ever can't get a dress on, a great tip is to do it up around your waist before the boobs get in the picture, and then really slowly ease it round, like you are pulling a sleeping bag from its cover. Air brake. Oh dear. Oh, Jesus. Okay, I feel a little naked, but it's fine. I'll work through it. I was the little train that could for a hot second there. Really had to huff my way into it, but it's actually quite comfy now I'm in. The neckline is as I'd hoped. I think it looks a lot like the picture, to be honest. I popped one of my famed flower earrings in, which if people keep coming at me and telling me that they look like bread from far away, which in my mind has to be a compliment because who would not want to wear carbohydrates dangling from their ears? But it is an earring with a hoop, and I realised that if I put this hoop over my bun, magic could happen. Now don't look too closely, I only had 4 bobby pins. This is the monstrosity of my hair. Way less neat than anybody who would ever work for Runway, but about 8.9 times neater than I've had my hair in the past 2 years. I did try on loads of jewellery, but it didn't feel quite within the Paris mood. Less is more. So I'm happy with this. My only conflict is that these are the socks I'm wearing and I haven't shaved my legs. And I don't know if I want to shave my legs, and I don't know if I do want to take my socks off. So this might be a Doc Martin day, just so I can put my own spin on it and still feel comfortable. And I'm okay with that. I also put on more highlighter than should be legal. So hopefully Meryl can look into my cheeks and see herself truly for the first time. So far this video has been very Andy heavy, but I couldn't really let this video carry on without a little homage to Nigel. Now, because of the nature of masculinity and fashion, a lot of his choices are sharp, they're beautiful, but they aren't exactly statements. They aren't outlandish. They aren't really something that I can copy and recognisably look like Stanley Tucci. Do you know what I mean? Apart from this suit. Oh my God. Mother may I. And I realised that I had this top in a very similar tartan. It's mesh, you might remember it from some of my old videos. It's got such a long roll neck that it has to be a little bit high fashion, surely. But I didn't have any bottoms, and I spent upwards of maybe 30 hours on Depop before I finally, and this is what I always say about Depop, like if you dig long enough and deep enough, and if you want it enough, you can manifest something perfect. So after maybe like 3 weeks of searching on Depop, I found this skirt. They could have been made in the same factory. Look at them. Oh my God. So I'm really, really excited about this. It cost me £5, or if you count money like me, 5.5 Mars bars. It's a size 16, it's pretty vintage, it's got some very old elastic in it, so I might have to put a belt with it, but I'm excited. And I'm also gonna try and keep my accessories quite minimal, as I believe Nigel would have wanted, but I might try and do something creative on the eyes. Wish me luck. Okay. Do you ever have those ideas in your head and then the whole time you're trying to bring them into the world, you're like, oh, this is a mess, oh, this is very embarrassing, oh, I'm gonna carry on because I don't know what else to do, but clearly this needs to be scrapped. And then you finish and you're like, don't hate it. This took me way longer than I imagined it would take anyone, but I've done this like gradient teal eyeshadow thing. I played around with my hair a lot, but I've actually ended up just leaving it down, and I've used my big green and blue earrings to tie it all together, maybe? I just wanted, for Stanley, I wanted to make it a little bit more high fashion, a little bit more daring. I kind of feel like it does look like me, but fully the Helena Bonham Carter side of my personality, which is never a bad thing. And I was also trying to keep it a little bit classy, so I got like a gold necklace on as well, just to try and behave for Stanley. But I think this is my most daring look of the week so far. And I think I would totally wear this to a party. I mean, I haven't been to a party since 2019, but I imagine this is what I would wear to a party quite happily. Maybe more in autumn. I am sweating quite a lot. But from just using stuff in my wardrobe and then a £5 edition, I'm not mad about it. Okay, so it is the final day and I potentially have my most scandalous outfit coming up. Knee-high boots, that's the thing I've always wanted to try, and I immediately thought of this outfit. Can I? Mother, should I? Luckily for this outfit, I already had a really long black cardigan, the witching cardigan, as it is known amongst my friends. And I also have a black playsuit that's currently in the wash, which is why I'm not wearing my pyjamas. I actually had to get dressed today. Scandalous, I know. The only additions I needed were some golden necklaces. I knew that I'd be able to find these for like £1 in charity shops around my town, and I was right. It took me about 15 minutes. And then the pièce de résistance, thigh-high boots. I always think these look really cool on other people, and again, it's kind of like one of those things I think as a chubby person, you're like, oh, they look cool on skinny people, but I can never pull them off. Well, you could be right. Let's find out. Whew. So here we are, here's the outfit. Again, August tights. Lena's bad planning knows no bounds. Okay, here are the things I like about the outfit. I think it makes me look taller, which is a novelty. It was incredibly simple for me to put together. It encouraged me for maybe the first time in a year to straighten my hair. Am I sure I want to say this yet? I don't hate the knee-high boots. I think I actually quite like them, especially because they're discovered when you have big fat holes in the knees of your tights. Nobody can see them. Genius! However, what I'm thinking about fashion in general and this outfit is that it kind of shows that with fashion design, it is about the cut and the quality of the fabric, and for me, I don't really like this outfit on me or at all, which I wasn't expecting. This is one of the ones I was most excited to try out, and I'm glad I did because most of it is basically made up of stuff I already have. But I think what makes it look so creative and classy on Anne Hathaway, maybe it's her fringe, it might just be fringe, but I think it's because of the way the boots are cut, the way the clothes are cut. Maybe not so much the Chanel necklaces, I think they're kind of ugly, but I think the chunkiness of them is really cool. And I think, hands up, sometimes you can't recreate something that is high fashion because it is made by an artist and the subtle things make a huge difference. And that's okay. I'm okay with being a bargain bin, Z-list, magazine intern with something to prove. And now, finally, I have the courage to buy a pair of thigh-high black boots that I'm going to be wearing under loads of different outfits, and they only cost me £7. Thank you to the Depop gods. In summary, sorry, I can't do it, there's a cardigan on. In summary, this experimentation week with my wardrobe, I think, has been a huge success. It's definitely made me re-see items in my wardrobe in a different light. There are some items that I accumulated off Depop that will become part of my permanent collection, and I think I'll be able to remix a lot more stuff in my wardrobe because I own them. And, hand on heart, fashion is hard, which I think probably is one of the grand messages of The Devil Wears Prada. Just like in Legally Blonde or Miss Congeniality, woman goes into other kind of women's environment and realises that her judgments on how they live out being a woman is wrong, and actually what they do is really freaking hard. And that the attitude of not like other girls needs to go in the bin. My tiny other little axe to grind is Andy's boyfriend should stay her ex-boyfriend. He's trash, but that's a story for another video. Other ways that you can mix up and be inspired by The Devil Wears Prada is I was gonna have this top with these earrings and these trousers, which I already own, to make an ensemble of something inspired by this brown spotty thing that Andy wears in the middle of the film, plus this dress. If I can find something ever resembling this dress on the internet, and trust me, I've tried, I would sell one of my legs for it. So the earrings are supposed to look like the dress, and the trousers are supposed to match the belt, and then the top. You see what I was going for. However, I ordered both these things on Depop and they didn't turn up. That sometimes happens in the lottery of Depop. Gutted, but I am getting a refund, it's fine. I also would have loved to find a blazer like this, but I couldn't find anything that had that kind of piping on, and I didn't want to wreck one of my current blazers by painting it on, but this is obviously a very iconic outfit, although feeling the temperature outside today, I'm really glad that I'm not wearing leather trousers. I hope this video has given you some ideas on how to get inspired and switch up your wardrobe with items that have been pre-loved and aren't currently in fashion, whatever that means. Thank you so much to the Gumption Club for making this video possible. As always, these videos are free to watch, but that's because these folks tip me per video so I can give them to you for nada, nothing. If you are into fabric you put on a body, otherwise known as clothes videos, you can find some of those here. Maybe you want to hear some tips on what I wish I'd known in my 20s. You can find a playlist about that here. Make sure you subscribe, so if you found yourself here, you might want to find yourself here again. I don't know, I'm not the boss of you. Thank you so much for being here, and until next time, Frog's Dog out.